All right. Well, thank you for coming to the employment procedures. This will we'll go over student employment as well as non-MIT student employment. And you can jump in whenever you have questions. Don't worry about it. We'll tackle any of those questions that you have. Um, so the employment types for students will really be anything that a student does for any student organization. So whether they're a photographer, there's a musical performance, or some groups actually are working groups, so they actually pay students um, to do certain tasks. The student must be an ASA registered group, and the student must be a registered student and eligible to work on campus. Now, international students can work on campus. They do need to get some documentation sometimes from the International Student Office, but any student can work on campus. Now it can be a one-time thing, or it can be a weekly or sporadically. Again, there are certain groups that hire students throughout the entire school year, and there are groups that hire students for a one-time to photograph their events. Now, just really quickly, procedurally, it's a very simple process. And what I'll do is go through the processes for student payroll. So really quickly, you would want to go to engage.mit.edu. On the left-hand side, you'll scroll down and see surveys and forms. Not to be confused with My Surveys and Forms. My Surveys and Forms are forms that you've already filled out or completed. So you'd want to start a new form for this process. Once you click Surveys and Forms, you'll pull up this screen. And as you can see, the student employment form is circled for you. So you want to just click on that. So when hiring a student, you want to gather all of the information for that student and for the job that they are doing. So you want to have all this information ready for when you're going to complete the form. Obviously, your organization name. You want to have the student MIT ID number that allows us to enter the student into the system in order to be paid. You want to have the student name and the position title. Please have the start date and end date. If possible, you want to complete this before the start date so that the student can be paid on time. But if not, understandably, you can complete it after the event, after the student actually performs the duty. You want to have your cost object ready and your pay rate. Once you click on hourly pay rate, you cannot pay a student less than $15. That is the Massachusetts minimum wage. And you cannot pay them more than $25. That is MIT's rule. However, there are some exceptions. But right now, please find the rate that is between 15 and 25. If you are paying a student a one-time fee for a job, $100 for 1 hour of work, you want to make sure that that student on the back end completes their timesheet with the hours. So what you would do is type in the hourly rate of $25. That's the maximum. And so the student will be paid $25 an hour. So they've only done 1 hour of work, but you want to pay them $100. So that student will have to complete their timesheet for 4 hours of work. If you're paying them a lot more than that, we can talk about trying to get an exception for an hourly pay rate that's higher than 25, but let's try and stay with the 25 just to make it easier. And then you want to make sure you have the total pay. So when we go in to enter into the system, we want to make sure we know what you agreed to pay the student. You should always have a faculty or employee supervisor. If you do not have one, you can put Ramon Downs on the form. And then also, this needs to be submitted by a financial signatory. So everything, as I always mention, Mary and I always mention in the large trainings, we will not approve things that are not approved by a financial signatory. So once you complete the payroll form for a student, we will take the appointment, we will enter that appointment into the student payroll system. The student will receive an email from the payroll service center. Now, prior to that, it will be reviewed by financial aid to make sure that that student can receive the money and that it will have no impact on their financial aid that they're receiving. So that will be one review. But once that's complete, you'll receive an email, the student will receive an email from the payroll service center. They have to follow the instructions for that email in order to complete their timesheet. And then here are the instructions for completing their timesheet. They can go to Atlas, they hit the general tab, time and vacation entry, and timesheet entry. They go in, complete their timesheet, just fill in the hours that they worked on that particular day. If they do not have the week that they worked in there, please let me know and we can work around it. Or we may have to resubmit their appointment request. Timesheets are generally approved on Monday. So if you get your timesheet in over the weekend prior to Monday, and I am the supervisor listed, I will make sure that I approve your time on Monday, that student's time on Monday. If they get it in after, they will have to wait till the following week, unfortunately. And this is just a visual of everything I just explained. So students complete the payroll form, or you complete a payroll form for the student. We set up the appointment, the email comes, the timesheet is approved. Now, as a student group, you only get the notification when we approve the appointment. So once we approve it, you'll get the notification. After that, everything goes directly to the student. So if there's a disconnect, if a student has not been paid, they can contact me directly, or you can contact me on their behalf if they say they haven't gotten paid. Now, past students, you can also hire non-MIT students. So this includes faculty, this includes staff, support staff. There are a few exceptions, but this includes students from other institutes. Anybody that is a non-MIT student will go through this procedure. And again, this person could be anybody, just not an MIT student. So once we complete, the first procedure was for MIT students. Now this is when you're hiring outside of MIT or outside of the student area in MIT. So it can be faculty or staff. We still need to go through this paperwork, even if they are current employees of MIT, because this will be added to whatever normal paycheck that they receive. Unfortunately, we are unable to hire research affiliates. So when hiring somebody that works at MIT, please kind of just double check what their main position is. And if they are a research affiliate, due to the way they are paid, we're not able to hire them. Or if we do hire them for a position, we will have to get approval from their department. If it's a postdoc, sometimes they may be getting paid through a fellowship. So it's always, and this kind of goes the same with grad students. So back in the student area, you just want to double check if somebody's being paid from a fellowship, they may have restrictions. So we may or may not be able to hire them, but it's always good to check. And this cannot be an MIT student. It can be a student outside of MIT, just not an MIT student. And for outside employees that you are looking to hire, please try as best as you can to send in the documentation prior to them beginning. There are requirements to being on MIT campus that they need to complete before they step foot on campus. Sometimes it's a little difficult to get that, but please try as best you can. And I would say give us about at least 2 to 3 weeks. Yep, go ahead.
If we're not able to do the employment for a non-student appointment before the work begins, are there like ways to handle that after the fact?
Yeah, we can still do it after the fact. Just HR would prefer that they get their Corey check and their and complete sexual harassment training. So we can, if there's absolutely no way around it, we can have them do that paperwork and start them as a volunteer. And then whenever the situation gets resolved, we can hire them later. Or if it just so happens that somebody has been doing something on campus, which they probably shouldn't be, but if they have been, and you say, hey, we should pay you for this, we can post date that stuff as well. The highly suggested method is to get it in before.
Right. Okay. And what about for like one-time things, like if they're hired for like one service?
If somebody's hired for one service, we would look at paying them through an RFP. So if they're going to come in and be a one-time DJ or one-time, you know, I don't know, let's say they edit some documents or anything that is one time, we can look at a request for payment to pay them. In that case, they would not have to complete any MIT paperwork. They would just need to submit an invoice and a W-9 form.
I guess the person providing the service would be submitting a W-9 form?
Yes.
Okay. Got it. Thanks.
No problem. And that's all for tax purposes. So I can send them a blank form and they can complete it with their social security number. And if they have their own business entity, they fill out with their EIN number.
So if they don't have their own business, it would be all right for like someone to pay them and then send an RFP with the invoice and the W-9 attached?
Correct.
Okay.
So yeah, so the best example would be a DJ. So DJs come in and work events all of the time and just do one event and we never hear from them again or talk to them again, or they're never hired again. And not negatively, they just
No, yeah, I get it.
but they come in, if they're just a person who DJs and they don't have an actual business, they can come in for that 4 hours and you agree to pay them however much. We can have them invoice us and I can send them a blank W-9 if they don't have one, and they can submit that along with their invoice, and we will get them a check probably within 7 days or so. Now, the opposite would be if you're gonna have this DJ in every week or a month, that's when I would suggest definitely hire them as an employee so that we can pay them regularly.
Right. That makes sense.
Great question. And again, the process to completing a non-student appointment is fairly the same as a student appointment. So you want to go to engage.mit.edu. Again, go to surveys and forms. And sorry, and this time you'll pull up the same surveys and form information, but this time you want to click employment agreement form. And this one has similar information as the student employment form, but it's constituted slightly differently. So you'll need all of this information. I think the most important information and the information that we use, you will only need to provide the name, email, and phone number of this person. So we don't need too much information. We'll need the job title that you're hiring them for, a start and end date, your organization name, your cost object, and it's generally your main cost object, but it can be your funding accounts or your F or S cycle. The monthly rate of pay is not as important as the total financial commitment. So we just want to know how much you agreed to pay them. How much did you and this person agree on as total compensation for this job? So when you look at the start and end date, you can say we're hiring this person in the beginning of September, and we're going to the appointment will be completed in May, the end of May. So that is one academic year basically, and then we're paying them $2,000. So what would happen is that $2,000 will be split into bi-monthly checks for the entire appointment, the period of the appointment. So so they'll receive a check twice a month from September through May. And again, this is kind of why it's important to get this in early before they start working. If you turn it in after, say they've already worked a week and then in September and you turn it after, sometimes it can take a little while. It passes through a lot of hands, and I'll go through that in a second, but it passes through a lot of hands. So they may not start to get paid until maybe October. So, in order to be paid on time, you want to make sure that you get it in early so that we have time to process it, and then they can get paid at the beginning of their appointment. So again, the authorization name should be a financial signatory, and then the signature of the financial signatory of the group. You just want to describe the position, and both of these fields kind of ask for what they'll be doing, just an overview of what they'll be doing. Once you complete this form, there is a submission portal right in that same agreement form link. So once you pull this form is in the same link as the actual upload area. So once you click that button, and we just kind of go back a little bit. Once you hit this form, you'll have this form in here. You pull it out. It's all PDF, so you can fill it in, and then you probably want to save it to your computer and then submit it all within the same area. And then this is just kind of an overview of that process. So again, once you speak to that person that you're going to hire, you agree on a compensation amount. You complete that employment form. Then you submit it on Engage, and it should be your financial signatory that submits that. We'll get it, we will review, and we will either approve, reject, or ask for modifications. So you do receive an email when you submit it. It'll say you have successfully submitted. Then you receive another email when we review it. So again, it'll be an approve, a reject, or we'll ask for modifications. After we review and approve, like I mentioned before, it passes through a few hands. So once we approve, we forward it to Division of Student Life HR. And for those sports clubs, it actually go through DAPR and DSL HR. Once DSL HR gets it, they'll review, they will submit it to payroll. They will also email the hire if it is a new hire and you need to do a Corey Story check as well as a sexual harassment training and submit your documentation. They will email you to ask for all of that information. So ask for the documentation, the I-9 and W-4 forms. They'll email you for the SORI check. And they will ask you to complete the sexual harassment training and any other trainings that HR makes you go through. Once the new employee completes that documentation, they are ready to begin. If you are a returning employee, so some employees come back from year to year, you can you'll skip the process of submitting your I-9 W-4 and the Corey check and the sexual harassment training because you would have done that already. So it will go from DSL right to payroll, and you'll begin to get your appointment set up. And again, employment should not begin until all the paperwork is complete. So I do know we do have sometimes groups working with coaches before paperwork is complete. You really shouldn't, but I know especially for new employees, you definitely shouldn't. But the thing is, hopefully we want to get you paid on time. And the most important thing I can say about this is about the employment agreements is, again, it passes through a lot of hands. So if you get it in before the employment starts, it is the most ideal to get that person paid on time. If you do not, then it takes a little while and they may not get their first paycheck maybe a month into them working or their appointment period that you have set. Also, you want to try and limit how many times you submit this paperwork. So you really shouldn't come back every 3 weeks to fill out a new employment agreement form. The ideal thing to do is set it up one time for the year so that if there is a delay, that delay will be in September and they will not have that delay again all year. If you do it, the next on that list would be maybe once a semester. You do it in September, you do it in January, and then it's smooth sailing for the rest of the year. And my objective is to make sure that everybody's paperwork goes through and you get paid on time. So the least amount of times that we have to process documentation and pass it through a lot of hands, the better. So my suggestion would always be to do one in the beginning of the year, if possible. I know it's not always possible, but if possible, one in the beginning of the year. And then if not, maybe once in September and once in January. And then finally, you want to head to just kind of some additional resources for new employees. Again, this is just for those folks that you're hiring brand new. If they can kind of look at some of this stuff, they can probably get a jump start on filling out information so that when you do submit the documentation, maybe their information will already be in the system and it'll be a little bit easier, a little quicker for them to commence working. And then that's it. It's a pretty simple process. It's not on here. It's nothing that would be it's too taxing on anybody. But if there are any issues, definitely you can reach out to our office, you reach out to me, and we will troubleshoot, make sure we get everybody through smoothly.
Okay, thanks. Where can I find like